Authors Tell All, a podcast by Shy Soul. She's bringing you author interviews, book discussions, and more. Stay tuned.
Quiz Cube, play that beat again. Quiz Cube, play that beat again.
Just listen. Just listen. Just listen. Just listen.
Hello everyone. We are live here with Theresa Ann, aka Thea, author of Coke Girls Cali Part 1 and 2, and she'll be coming out with Part 3 very soon. How are you doing?
I am fine, and you?
I'm doing great tonight. So let's discuss the first book of the series. That was an amazing book, I might add.
Oh, thank you so much. And part 3 is actually live on Amazon. It came out about over a week ago. So the series is completed, thank God.
That's very nice to hear. Will it be any other books to the series, or you're totally finished with it?
There will be a spin-off called Flagging Treasures.
Mm-hmm.
And I've started that this week. I'm 4K into that. I'm trying to make it a holiday book.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to get that. I don't want to say it's going to be a Christmas book. I'm just theming it as a holidays because I'm still in school.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to give myself enough of a time frame to write it without rushing the book. But I'm hoping for that to be a December release. And that prayerfully will be a standalone. If it's not a standalone, it will only be a 2-part series, and I'll drop that back to back. But it just depends what the word count ends up being on the book, whether I split it into 2 or whether I just drop it as a standalone.
That's a very good idea. Now, with part 1 of the series, I know you really don't want to give too much because, some people may have not read it, some may have, but I want to discuss it a little bit. So, what is some good key points that happened in book 1 that led to book 3?
Book 1, I feel like it was really a good introduction to the characters and the things that they struggle with in the series. You got to get to know AJ and Bree, who are twins.
Mm-hmm.
And they were raised series in the background where their mother was a crackhead, and she ended up killing herself in front of them, literally in the beginning of the book. Within the first 3 chapters, she killed herself in front of them, which is traumatizing.
Mm-hmm.
Just to see your parent alone go through to do something like that and to suffer through a drug addiction. And to realize that their siblings, they had 2 younger siblings. But their younger siblings were kidnapped. They were gone. Well, they weren't kidnapped. They were put into the system. Because AJ's boyfriend at the time ended up trying to sell drugs in front of the house with their mother while they were gone, and the kids got taken away. And so the series is based on them trying to get their siblings back, but there's all sorts of secrets and things that stop them. And then they end up meeting Jonah and Luca. And their street names are Kane and Hood. And they end up with a proposition that they can't turn down to make fast money. And so at book 1, you kind of get to know everyone's struggles. And some secrets come out, especially towards the end. And it's a very, very fast-paced read. Because I realize with me as an author, I don't know how to write slow. I absolutely don't. I really trying to get myself to slow down. It's really hard for me to go slow with my books. Book 1 just really threw you right into the drama and let you kind of get to know the characters.
I love the action. I love that. I actually like the fast pace because sometimes it may take a little long to get into a book and you want it to get right to that drama from that first chapter. And for you to hit them with the drama in the first chapter, that is like the best way to go because you're capturing your authors just that fast. And now they're not going to want to put the book down. So that's your way of writing, and that's actually a good tactic. I wish I can be that type of author that just like jumps straight into the action. But like the way I write, I'll hit them with like a drama-filled first chapter and then kind of like slow it down and pick up the pace. And but the way you did it fits perfectly. So no problem with that at all. I like that.
No, thank you so much because I think that's been my struggle ever since I became an author. I'm just very in your face with it. And I always kind of doubt myself because I'm like, well, maybe I'm too fast-paced for some people. Maybe I let too much happen all the time and I should just kind of slow it down. But it's starting to realize, like me as an author, I'm getting better with slowing things down a bit in my books, but that's not me and it's not my writing style.
Right.
And so I still want to stay true to what my writing style is. And the readers that love it will love it. And those that don't, I totally respect it.
I mean, I'm here for it because, like I had just said, that fast pace is what really hooks the readers in. Because, some readers, they don't like that slow first chapter, and they just think that it's just prolonging itself, and they just want to get straight to the point, and that's why you have some readers who will give you a negative review just because of that. Because you have your climax part, and you're definitely doing the climax first in your book, and that's not a problem at all. It's not a problem with the way you write or anything like that, because you're getting right to that point, and that's gonna give it that shock and awe. Like, wow, she just hit us with that punch that quick. Yeah, I like it. I really do.
Thank you so much. I just aim, and I always want to write out of the box.
That's the best way to go.
I always try every series. I'm trying to do something I didn't do in the last series, and I'm trying to find a way with each series to get you guys emotionally connected to the characters. If you guys aren't crying and upset by the end of the series or by the end of each book, I didn't do my job. Exactly.
That's a very good point. That's exactly what I say as well. Because I've said this so many times on my show, if I'm not giving you that emotion, if I'm not putting that emotion that while I'm writing into the book, I'm going to feel as if my readers are not going to feel the emotion if I didn't put the emotion in there. So,
Right. And
yeah.
if I'm not getting upset as I'm writing the book, if I'm not getting upset, I will throw an entire... I've thrown 30K away before. I've had my publisher get mad at me because I will throw an entire book away and start over.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I am too. Because I already know I'm a perfectionist. And you know, that's good and it's bad because you want your work to be perfect because of the quality of the way you think and the way you write. So I would do that too. I wrote way more than 30K and just gotten to a point in the book where I'm like, I didn't put any emotion into the book. I just wrote it. Like, I'm not even attached to the book like how I'm usually attached to my book. And I will completely delete it. I will send my work out to some people and say, how do you feel about this? Or I've done it on Wattpad. We'll post the book. The whole book is finished. And like I said, like a few months, almost close to a whole year, the book has more than 100K reads and plus likes. And I'm like, I never really liked the book in the first place. And I'm going to delete it. And they're going to be like, where's the book? I was like, I deleted it. A whole month's full of work, I just deleted. And I don't care to be like, oh, I wasted. Because I didn't waste it because I feel like I didn't put my emotion and my heart into my writing. That's
exactly.
How I
feel. If you
feel.
don't stand behind your own work, if you can't stand behind it, you can't expect anyone else to stand behind it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. Because you'll have some readers who, like, when they read it and they've read a lot of your work, and they will just feel like a part of her was not in this book. Like, her soul and her heart was just not attached with her writing all of these chapters.
Your loyal readers will sense it.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. They'll be like, did she just...
They will know, and they will be in your inbox like, hey,
Mm-hmm.
Thea, I read this book. What the hell is going on here? Now, I have one of my best friends, Sweet Gray. She's not just one of my best friends, but she's one of my loyal pet readers. A lot of times I'll send a book to her. And I especially did this with Co-Girls because the way I came on the Co-Girls project was kind of at the last minute, and I had a 2-week deadline to write Co-Girls Tally Part 1.
Mm-hmm.
And it was remarkable because not only I was in the middle of a school semester, I had 2 weeks to write the book. I just picked some character names. I had no idea of the storyline, the book world itself. And so I was down with myself like, oh my God, I'm going to throw this book away. I was like, please read it. I gave her and my other best friend Amanda. I forgot how much of the book I sent to him. I said, I'm about to throw this away. And a lot of times I'll throw a book away too because I doubt myself and I think it's trash.
Mm-hmm.
And that's when my publisher and everyone gets on me. They're like, stop throwing books away because I will throw 5-10K away, not blink. And it's just, and Sweet was like, if you don't finish this book and turn it in, she's like, I'm gonna cut you out. This book is bomb as hell, and this is your bestseller. She told me her and Amanda told me when they test read it, this is your bestseller.
Mm-hmm.
This series is gonna put you on the map. I'm like, you really think so? And at that point, I had no idea I was bringing in characters from my other series until book 2. Really.
And I didn't mean to cut you off. Keep going.
And they just told me to really, there's like, you better turn this book into John. And I think Sweet even told me she was going to inbox John and tell John to get me. If I didn't finish that book. I was like, okay, fine. Because I didn't want my publisher on my behind for throwing a book away.
Yeah, that's true because I have, like I said, I've done it way too many times to count. I had a lot of, now that I think about it, the stories could have been really good and I could have been really attached to them now, you know, with my more developing my writing style and all that. When I was trying to find my place in writing, you know, I felt as if the books just, like, they wasn't up to my par. Like, I was just writing them, you know, just to give my readers a read. And that's not how I write. I write to give them emotion and, you know, to be able to connect with what they're reading. And I can tell you on more than my 10 fingers is how many books I have gotten rid of. That I feel now that I could have done maybe a lot more with them and, you know, made them blossom more. But on the other side of me, I'm like, well, it's whatever. I honestly still have that part of a story in the back of my mind and can rewrite it anytime I want to.
Yeah,
It's just the
that's
point of
beauty
development.
being an author.
Mm-hmm.
That is the true beauty of being an author. I have so many books sitting on my Google Drive that I'll have like 10K, 12K, 30K that I just can't bring myself to finish.
Yep. That's exactly how I am.
Read it,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, no, this is trash. I won't even send it to a test reader. And I know if my friends are listening to this podcast, they're going to cuss me out later. Like, wait, so where did you send this in our email to kind of cuss out? But there's so many books I have and so many visions because the characters literally take over my head.
Yep. Same
like
here.
Right now, Clayton is literally in my head talking about his spinoff. And he's literally in my head calling a bitch an Eskimo in my head.
That is exactly how I am with my books and my characters. I have so many books that are finished, and then I have so many stories in my head that I just want to write and, you know, get out there and publish. But then the third side of me is like, you know, these books need to wait because you haven't developed what you need to develop with this book yet. You know, just don't rush and write it and then you feel a month and a half later or weeks later like, ooh, I don't like this, I'm deleting it. Don't keep but don't keep throwing away hard work, because it is hard work. It's very much hard work. Don't keep just throwing away hard work. Just put it on pause. Just save it. You know, just save it and just leave it there. And then when you get when you get that spark, come right back to it and change something if you need to change something. Change out a character. Even if a character needs to get killed or something for you to be like, ooh, I didn't spark something in my mind for this story. There you go. That's why I listen to music when I write. Mm-hmm.
And I'm a murder queen in my book. So a lot of times, if I'm not feeling a plot I'm writing, as soon as I kill a character, I'm like, yes, I'm invested again.
Yep.
As soon as I kill somebody off, I'm like, bye-bye. Any of my readers will tell you I will kill anybody at any time. I will kill the kids, the family pets, kids, the mama, the daddy, the wife, the brother, they all can die.
Yep. One of my friends who is one of my most loyal readers, she read all my books. She gets mad at me every time I kill off. She'll be like, that was my favorite character. Why did you do that? I was like, it was time for him to go. You know, in my storyline, it was time for him to go. I'm sorry. You know, maybe just for you, I'll save character. It doesn't happen. It's like she just has a character and be like, why did you kill him or her? Like, you didn't have to do that. I was like, yes, it did. They had to go.
Yes, I'm getting that ever since Cold Girl 3 dropped. I did that in Cold Girl 3. And I've gotten inboxes from readers. Why did you do this? And I'm not saying who I killed off, but why did you do it, Thea? Why did this happen? And in my readers group Sunday, I'm going to do a discussion over the entire Cold Girl series because there's a huge message behind that series about rape, mental health. There's so much into that series that I'm going to discuss in my readers group. And I'm going to tell them there was a reason this character had to go. Mm-hmm. It makes sense. Once you sit back, finish reading the book, you sit back, you think about it. It will completely make sense why the character had to go. Right. And I was battling myself writing it because the thing is, as an author, I can't tell my characters what to do. I had to learn early on. By the time I wrote For the Love of My Ruthless Savage series, I had to learn my characters control me. I don't control them. Right. I can't tell them what to do. And with that being said, I know readers love books that have everything has a really, really happy ending. And I really do try to give that. The problem is characters, I write down exactly what the characters are telling me. Good, bad, or the ugly.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to force a happy ending.
Right.
And I'm not saying I didn't give any happy ending in Cold Girl 3. I'm not saying that for the record. But with any book I write, I can't force it. Because it will translate the way I write. You will be able to tell if I'm forcing an ending.
Right. Like, I can't do that either. I really don't like, this is the truth, I really don't like happy ending books anymore either. Well, my own books. Like, some other people's books, yes, of course. But my own books, I'm sorry, I'm gonna put my characters through the most because I feel like I want to make them like a real person. Everybody is not gonna have a perfect life, and that's what I reflect in my characters.
Yeah, I really need to just go through your catalog because you reflect exactly how I am as an author. Because in real life, there people die every day.
Mm-hmm.
It happens in real life.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I also understand, I'm kind of balanced because I also understand that readers read that shit. And I think where I'm trying to go with my writing career now, at first I was just writing stuff, like Keisha Mello, I wrote that series just for the hell of it with a crazy surrogate and a crazy nigga. I just had fun with it. Now it gets to the point like with Cold Girls, I think the difference between that and Keisha and Mello, I tackled real life topics. People are raped every day.
Yep.
People, police brutality happens every day. You got a crooked cop that rapes a teenager in this series. You've got mental health issues. I mean, there's so much part that I play. It was so hard in a sense for me to write this series in a sense because I will say Treasure was me. Treasure's character was me.
Mm-hmm.
But extremely exaggerated. So I felt like when people were everybody to be like, oh my God, we love Treasure, but she's getting on my nerves. But we love Treasure, we're really connecting with Treasure. I felt like the readers, you guys are connecting with her because you guys connected with me.
Right. That is true because you can have so many characters, that can be, you have so many parts of yourself that you could put in your characters, and then people like you or parts of you can be like, okay, I reflected this character so much, and if they don't, it's still some type of factor that they can reflect too. Like you said, there is so much realism that you put in your books that is real life, with the rape and the abuse and all that really happens. It's going on right now as we talk about it. So when you put that in a book and somebody who has went through it or lived it, they can take it in a good way or they can take it in a bad way.
Right, and for some people, the book, it might be a trigger for some people. Like, for me, the reader side of me is very, very hard in October when everyone drops domestic violence books. I can't read straight domestic violence books. I can't read them.
Mm-hmm.
Because they trigger me. I read them occasionally, but what I have to do with them is I have to say, okay, if I read this one, I'm gonna take some self-care time after this because I know this is gonna put me in an emotional spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I know for some Cold Girls might be that because of the crazy topics that I covered, and I think I cried, especially in part 2 when Treasure's giving birth to that baby. I just couldn't. It took me a couple days to really, and I write fast. I write really fast, but just that speed just put me in an emotional spot as an author. Like, I just cannot.
Yeah, and I get what you're saying because I put a scene in my book which was published under another publishing company before I signed with Major Key. So in that book, and some of my readers will know about this book because I've had it on Wattpad, but I changed it. None of that little extra stuff. But I kept my main female character, I kept her storyline the same because I was hell-bent on her because of I cried writing every chapter she was in after I reread it, I cried because I couldn't believe that I could write something like that, for one. And for two, I was like, wow, I couldn't imagine that came from my head, even though it's real, with the abuse and molestation that I put was going on with her. I was like, I couldn't believe that I could write something like that. That's never happened to me before. That I don't know what side of me came with all that emotion, but I was like, wow. And then when I had people responding to him like, wow, this was me and this, that, and the other, that made me cry again because I wasn't expecting that response.
Yeah, sometimes these book characters they really will take you there. Like there are points in the book you just don't see. And I tried to balance my book. Like Code Girls, I wanted a serious message on mental health and race to come across, but I still wanted to be the same Thea that was funny.
Yep.
That had crazy characters. So Clayton cut up the entire series. Clayton was a fool with a reckless mouth. Luca was definitely bad. Kane was reckless. And oh my God, AJ's mouth in Code Girls, especially part one when you're talking about somebody, Bill Cosby and somebody. I was like, you know what? It was just, I had the humor, but I wanted the bigger message through the series to be portrayed.
Right. And that's,
you can, and especially poverty, because AJ and Bree came from poverty. They came from living in the hood with a mother that was a crackhead, that you can't overcome it. Maybe not everyone in real life is becoming drug dealers and dealing with drug cartels and stuff like that.
Right. I understand what you're saying.
But there's a lot of people that manage to find their way out of the hood.
That is correct. That is very correct. And when I write a book like that, that's the facts that I want to put in one of my books. That, they're trying to fight their way out. I may have that character that's trying to fight their way out. Then I have the other character that just wants to stay there. They want the drug money. They want that way to be their way out. And then that comes with consequences, and that comes with who is going to live and die in this book. The good guy or the bad guy? The one that's taking the scholarship from football or basketball or baseball to get out of the situation, or their grades or whatever to get out of this? Or is it the one that went the bad route? Which one in reality is going to live or die? In honesty, in my book, I will pick the good one that's going to end up dying, because that's going to give everybody that emotion like, what? You killed him? And he's been trying to get out and do all this. That's what happens in movies and books. The good one always the one that goes. Because that's giving that realism to the reader, and that's just giving the fact. Because it happens way too much.
Right, and it also stops the predictability that people, I noticed in reviews, for urban fiction books in general, that there's some people say it's too predictable, it's the same stuff. And I think as an author, I try to come with out-of-the-box storylines. I've got some stuff planned for the next year, but I'd say that's the thing. That's why I'm not a total believer in the complete happy ending.
Right.
I might give a partial happy ending. I might give no happy ending. I might give you a complete happy ending. But I don't want anyone to be able to say they can guess how a Thea book is going to end. Hell, I can't tell you how a Thea book is going to end because I don't know, because my characters control me. They run this. It's not even me running it. Like right now, Clayton's trying to questions running all over the place, beating the hose. He's just being reckless.
Yeah, because that's stuff that really happens, And I honestly, to be truthful, I don't think I've written a real happy ending in my story. Always end it with a cliffhanger, or somebody dies and that's how I end the book, or she's trying to find a new path you know, that's the route that I go. But truly, I never really end the book with a straight happy ending.
But you know what? And there's nothing wrong with a happy ending.
Yeah, it's not.
Especially if you don't do it. Because if you actually end up doing one at some point, it actually will surprise you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think one thing for me, my goal is to keep readers guessing. And I think one of my goals is to write a book where I don't kill nobody. Because why? Because everyone expects me to go on a murder spree in all my books.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, I did do that. My standalone. I didn't kill nobody in that book. But that was a contemporary book. But still, I actually I keep trying to find ways to keep my readers on their toe where they can't guess what is Thea going to do next.
Right. Exactly. But you know, we try to do that, but if that's the way we like to write, you know, there's different ways that you can, if you want to keep, you know, killing off characters, you know, giving that craziness to it, like the mystery part of your story, the action, the drama, the sexual part, you know, you can split your story off into different categories. Like, just say, like, I really like writing action, romance, contemporary stories. But mainly my book is really action filled. Like, I always write a character that is, he or she is always trying to deal with what they're fighting inside. You know, I really haven't written like that perfect character because, you know, nobody's perfect. So I've never really written a character that is just all around perfect. If I have, I'm just going to say she is hiding something. You know, maybe she's depressed inside and she's trying to cover it up and say, oh, I'm perfect. Oh, I don't have any flaws, this and that. But inside she has so many flaws. She doesn't think anybody loves her, this, that, and the other. That's the way I would develop my character. I've never made a character where she or he or the mom, the dad have never went through something in their life. If I have, that means they're like the rich. And, you know, they don't have too much really. They do because, you know, money brings a lot of problems sometimes. But if I do a perfect character, I may make them rich. Because, you know, when you see like that, they're like, oh, they don't have any problems. You know, they're living a good life and all this, that, and the other. Sometimes they may not.
But that's looking at the surface level, though. Because deep down, they're really depressed and have mental.
Yep. So, if I was to create a perfect character, you know, I would make her with a happy home. You know, some readers would want an ideal for themselves if they've never had it. You know, I give them that visual, like, okay, you know, her parents actually did something good for her. They didn't go the bad route where they're inflicting pain on their children because the pain they was inflicted in. You know, I'll give the parents, you know, that ordeal. But my main character, I'm going to give them that, you know, they don't deal with some of their other friends do. You see what I'm saying? I play around that, but you still read about it in the book. It's still there. But the main character isn't going through it. The people around her is. And that sometimes that may be what's conflicting with her. You get what I'm saying?
Maybe.
Yep.
Exactly.
That's what I do in my book sometimes
too. What you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely really connect to it.
Yep.
And I was waiting to see, because Coco 3 dropped about a week ago.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple readers that caught on. I don't think, and I'm going to ask them on Sunday in my readers group. I'm going to ask them during the live. Well, I don't know if I'm going live or how I'm doing that discussion. But I'm going to ask them, everyone understands that Treasure has schizophrenia from book 2. Everyone knows about that aspect of mental illness, but there was another character in the entire series that had depression and anxiety.
Exactly. And they may have overlooked that character because of your main character. I see exactly what you did there. I would see me, and because I love to read, I would have seen that, like, wait a minute, everybody's going for her and trying to help her, but what about this other person? She's just right there in just a mist of darkness with the fake smile on her face, and underneath she's crying and just screaming for help, and no one's helping her, but they're helping her.
Because that character, the character I'm referring to, had to be strong for so long. Had to take on more than what she should have from an early age. And people really, and I can understand readers getting pissed off with this character throughout the series, because this character did some foul stuff at times. But when you're broken, and I think the bigger message for me was when you're broken, when you're a broken person, how can you love someone if you don't love yourself?
Exactly. You're going to want to inflict what you're feeling on others. That's very true. Very, very true.
And I don't think this character did it purposely to hurt, because this character truly loved the person that set them up with. They truly loved him. The problem was, really, she was so depressed that she had anxiety. Like, it was hard for her to be there for this character, because she's been fighting a war all by herself for years. A mental war. And mental illness is very, very real. It's
It really is.
Very real. I struggle with depression and anxiety at times. Like I said, I'll throw an entire book away just because I don't like it. And sometimes that's me, that's just my anxiety kicking in.
Yep. I totally understand that, because I've definitely did that in my book. She had trauma for what happened to her. Then from that trauma, she ended up with PTSD. And, then, she started developing something else where she wanted to disassociate herself from certain situations. So that means she's creating another side of herself that isn't too much good. And everybody was like, wait a minute. So from this point to that point, that's what made her go, that's what made that happen to her? So basically at the end of the book, all that made, everyone thought she was crazy. She wasn't until, she was never crazy. She broke down when she finally got the person that made her this way. That's when she lost herself. Because revenge is never really too much the way to go. That's a fact. Revenge is not the way to go, because it can make you or break you. In my book, it broke her. She just turned into she turned into the disassociative person that she created. And everybody was like, I never knew that you can write something like this. That's what brings something different in your story means. To create something that maybe you have read, but not like that.
Exactly. And one of the things, I just love urban fiction. I love the genre. And I feel like at times it gets a very bad rap. I feel like it gets a bad rap at times for being, it's the same thing, it's repetitive. I feel like it gets a bad rap. So my goal when I write my urban books is to bring, I want my books to be different.
Right. Me too.
I want my books now to bring a different message. Cold Girl Tally was about rape, mental illness, and police brutality. Clayton's Treasure is a spin-off, and I'm planning it to be a standalone. It's a holiday book, but what's going to make Clayton's Treasure different? I have an entire real storyline planned for it. It won't just be a Merry Christmas type of holiday book. You'll have the holidays in the book, but there's a storyline, and you're going to get to see Clayton and Treasure fall in love in the spin-off. You're going to get to see them fall in love and progress. It's going to be a crazy storyline. It's going to be good. It's going to be emotional. I'm so sad, though, because I'm writing this book now, and I know when this book's done, it's the end of these characters.
But you...
It's the end, and I don't want to let them go.
Right, but you honestly don't really have to let some of the characters go. If you want to give them a spin-off, then yeah, but then that may be doing a little too much for you. But you can always have their storyline carry along in some of your new books. You know, you can have, if that's still like the place they lived and you did the book in that same place, you can have them pop up in the book like, oh, this was a longtime friend of mine, or we went back from way whatever, you know, backline stories or anything like that, that your readers were like, oh my god, and then your reader's like, oh my god, wait, how did this pop up? And you know, you could throw that in to your next book that has nothing to do with them, but they're still a character that is going to live on in your books to come.
In that book. That actually is what happened with Cold Girl Kelly, because the book is about AJ, Bree, Treasure, Luke, and Kane. But the Jackson brothers, the entire brothers from Florida, Love and Ruthless Savage, I mean, they not just popped up in Cold Girl. Clayton had a whole storyline. Like, Clayton shows out, especially in book 3. I mean, he shows out with his whole storyline in book 3, and I'm just like, oh my god, you have to take over the series. But it's crazy because now he's getting his spin-off, because for the end of A Ruthless Savage, I didn't have Clayton end up with anybody at the end of his actual series, because he needed time to grow. He needed character growth. And the person he was with, their relationship was extremely toxic. And one thing I won't ever do, I'm not going to force, I might have it set up like, okay, this is so-and-so's love interest. But depending how the story writes, I'm not going to force a happy ending.
Right.
And that's one thing I think I've gotten good at is I just don't force an ending. If the ending's not happy, it's not happy. So I was able to carry Clayton over in the Cold Girl, and now he's getting his own spin-off with Treasure. He's getting his own love story right now. So that'll probably wrap up. I'm working on that, and then I'm bringing some of the characters. Part 2 of Falling for a Westwood Boss should drop sometime in November. I just turned that book in. There's a couple characters from that I'm going to let pop up in Clayton's Treasure, because I think it would be really funny for a Christmas dinner thing, because there's a couple really rude characters. I want to have Clayton with Little John. Little John's a little 5-year-old boy, and he's bad as hell, and he needs a butt whooping. Little John goes around in my book going, bang, bang, nigga, fuck you, nigga. He goes around and falls for what's called, he's really reckless. And my readers love Little John. So I was thinking, and they've been asking me, they're like, why don't you have Clayton and Little John meet? So I wrote a fake story where Clayton meets Little John to the liquor store. Now they want him in the Clayton Treasure. So I'm going to give the readers what they want. I'm going to bring Little John in there, and it's going to be a funny mess. But after that, I'm probably going to, I'm definitely going to be moving on to new material. I'm all sad. Well, sad, but I'm happy at the same time because I got new characters in my head talking.
I'm loving it, honestly. I'm here for it, because I love when the author, you know, when you grow attached to a character and you're like, oh my gosh, you know, we're not going to be able to read this character again unless we read this book, and then all of a sudden that character pops up again, and you know, like, wow, I can't believe it.
Yeah, and my readers will argue with me. They're like, you need to let Clayton pop up in whatever book you want. I was like, Clayton cannot pop up in every single book I write. I was like, Clayton needs to go have a seat.
Right. Like, I'm actually going to do that. I actually have a character that I created that I just can't let her go. You know? I cannot let this character go. She is a character that I thought I could never create ever. You know, I've never created a boss character such as her, so I'm not letting her go. She's not going to pop up in every book, but she's going to be in some of my books. They're like, ooh, she still is running things. Yep. I accidentally created that type of character. Go ahead.
I actually have a plan. I'm tossing a couple ideas around where after the spinoff, I might bring Clayton back for sporadic appearances. I'm playing with the idea of getting a little job of doing a children's book from like Cold Girls and all from West Coast Boss too, that the kids grow up. Little job takes over. He wants to be in the streets and he takes over from Clayton. So I'm thinking about that idea or doing a future collab with my parent sister where we bring all our kids from our books, from our urban books, and we bring all the kids as adults in one book and we fuck shit up. So I'm tossing those two ideas around too. After that, it probably definitely will be the end of Clayton because otherwise I'm going to want to kill them all.
Mm-hmm.
But I also have a standalone I'm working on too. I'm about 8 to 10K into that. It's a girl who gets stood up. She doesn't get stood up on her wedding day. She's about to marry her fiance. Mm-hmm. And then the side bitch shows up at the wedding, pregnant, 9 months pregnant. Like, guess what? I'm crashing this wedding. And let me tell you about your nigga's secret life. That's my third kid with the man. It starts out on some crazy drama type shit where the side bitch breaks up the wedding.
Mm-hmm.
And then she brings out a gun and shoots the bride's dad and kills the dad. If that I'm planning to be a standalone. Now, but that one, as of now, the title is The Love We Give to Get. We're going to see how this plot keeps going because I don't really have a plan for it. And as it unfolds, and of course, the title kind of has to fit the book. As of now, that's the title for that. And I'm writing that alongside Clayton's Treasure.
Mm-hmm.
And then I got some other books I wanna start doing some collabs next year. There's some other books I'm trying to do.
Ooh, okay.
I've got plots among plots. Sitting. My Google Drive, you can literally scroll through my Google Drive and just see random ideas just sitting.
That's how mine is too. I'm almost out of space, out of storage.
I pray to God that my iPad don't run out of space. Well, mine is 128 gigabytes. I would like to hope my iPad mini ain't running anywhere close to running out of space. Because my ideas are I want my ideas to keep coming.
Listen, my iPad has ran out of space more than I can count. I have so many backups just in case, you know. But my iPad, I do so much on it, and it's already clearly about to be ran out of space probably in the next few weeks. So, yeah, it's ridiculous.
I feel your pain because between I'm always on my iPad or my MacBook writing. Literally writing. And my plan, next week I'm finishing this quarter for school, and then I'm taking an LOA until like the spring quarter.
Mm-hmm.
I want to push at least 6 books. My goal is before I go back to school again, in the spring I want to drop at least 6 more books. I want to drop like a crackhead. With that said, I'm not going to drop anything that I'm not going to drop anything that I'm not certain about or I'm just on the fence. But I'm planning to really give my readers, to really keep my readers busy and give them something to read.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's how I'm feeling too.
I want to get my readers up.
Yep, that's exactly how I'm feeling too, because I can't wait till I'm done with the story that I'm writing. Already planning the rest of the series out. Writing my book to my first series. I have so many series that, you know, I want to get finished because, you know, I'm not really the author to write series, but I'm getting into it because, you know, I like writing my story and then going on to my next story, you know, just to get all my characters that I have out of my mind. Not out of my mind, but, you know, down on my paper or my iPad because, you know, I like writing down my stories, pen and paper too. So.
Right. No, and it's less pressure. Honestly, I admire you on that because, honestly, I wish I was the type that could just do my entire story and then split it in a part.
Mm-hmm.
That way they could just drop back to back to back. So I'm not that type of writer. My publisher always says I write fast anyway. She's like, they can chill, take more self-care, because I really don't take breaks. I will finish a book, and then 2 days later I'm writing the next book.
You know, I actually, because I can actually write 10K like within an hour, and that's like no joke. Like, I've done it before, and I built myself. Here's the thing. I built myself up to get to that point where I'm not getting tired of like, oh, I'm getting kind of like writer's block. No, I don't really even do a story outline for my books either. I don't. I do like a web, basically. That's how my notes look. It look a hot mess, but I love the way I write my notes, because I can look at my notes and be like, okay, there we go. Boom. Keep writing.
Yeah, this is what's going on with this book.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my very first few series, I used to just strictly outline. And then I realized what was giving me writer's block with Keisha and Mello.
Which was the outline.
It was outlining, because I would literally have the entire outline written for what I wanted for each chapter to go. And then I start typing it, and I feel myself freezing and getting blocked. I realized that doesn't help me. What I have started doing, an author told me, see, why don't you try outlining as you write the book? So when you finish the character's point of view, let's say I write from Clayton's point of view, I write down what happened in Clayton's point of view, just so I can refer back to my notebook and say, okay, this is what happened here. So let me make sure what happens in chapter 4 makes sense for what happened in chapter 1.
Exactly. That is exactly how I write. Yes, that is exactly how I write. Because I free write, then I go back and edit. But my story is already implanted in my head. And you know, I may have some writers who be like, well, how do you do that? Don't you forget something? They're like, nope. I go right back to that chapter and just get right back to writing my 10K chapter and then split it up. So I'll write the 10K, and right there for me, that's about not 5 chapters, more than 5, because I might split up, have one chapter be like maybe 500 words and the next chapter be 2K. You know, that's how I write my book, to get half of it done, not being fast with it, but just putting all my interest that I already had in my head down for the certain amount of chapters. And I don't even write my chapters in order either. Some days I may write my ending first. Sometimes I may write the prologue first. It all depends on how I feel about that particular book. That's exactly what I'm doing with the book right now. Mm-hmm.
And where you're at with the book. See, I write in order just because I can. I tried writing out of order, and it just doesn't. It didn't work for me because it confused me too much. But I will literally write in my notebook as I finish from my point of view. And one thing I do too is I will have 2 to 3 open plots.
Mm-hmm.
Because if one isn't flowing, the writer's block does hit, then I can be writing in the next book.
Right.
And that way, by the time I finish the first book that I'm planning to finish, I've got a decent word count in the next one. And that's how I have so many plots in Google Drive. Well, I have so many plots in Word and Dropbox saved. That's like 20K, 12K, 30K, 5K. That's how I have so many of them. And because I'll start something, if something's not flowing, I'll go and start the next book. And I'll even tell my readers, you know what? If I do out part 1 of the series, and part 2 is not flowing, because I don't really take breaks, I will say, you know what, I apologize, but I have this other book that's ready for me to drop.
Right.
I promise you the wait won't be forever, but the way my mind works as an author, I can't just force stuff out of my head.
Yep. And actually, I actually multitask writing. I will write 3 books at once and will not get my storylines confused with the other.
Yeah. When I first started, I couldn't do that. When I first started writing, I really couldn't do that. And John had to tell me, see, you're focused on one project at a time, which was good. And I needed that advice at the time because being very, very, and I'm still a new author, don't get me wrong, but I was very, very new after she said no. And she's like, you're overwhelming yourself. Now I'll have, like, I've got The Love We Get to Give open, I've got Clayton's Treasure open, and then knowing me, sometime next week I'm going to end up starting something else as well.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm just crazy enough to start another book.
Yep, that's exactly how I am right now. I'm working on Black Flame, working on Her Drug Lord Turn Her Savage Part 2, working on another book that I cannot name because not going to put that out there yet. Working on that book. And I got another book. I'm working on a lot. But it's fun for me because I'm not getting tired of my work at all. It's just fun for me to write down all these ideas. Especially if I'm really into the book. Like Black Flame, I am so into this book. It's crazy. I've never been into a book like this. It's basically because I've never written a plot line like this. Never written a story like this ever. So that's why it's so exciting for me.
Yes, that's how Cold Girls was for me. That's how the Cold Girl series was for me. I think it was a challenge because book one, I was on a strict deadline. I forgot how many K that book was. Part one, I think, was it 45 or was it 50K? I wrote that in 2 weeks with no plan, no storyline. I think I was saying because I'm the type that doesn't really like to procrastinate.
Me either.
I like getting things done ahead of time, but I think I got some kind of energy from job being like, you know what, this book is done, because I think I found out, was it May 10th or May 13th? The book was due May 31st. And I got some kind of hyper energy, like, oh my God. And I thought I'd be the opposite. I thought I would be panicking, especially with no such storyline in place. I thought I would be panicking and then to get that book done. And I finished it literally around the 28th or the 29th, I think. I finished part one. And I was just gassed. And then I was able to go straight into writing part two because I was still off of that energy from part one. Because the part one cliffhanger, I nailed it exactly how I wanted it to nail it. Because I got the 20K in, the Cold Girls 1, I said I know exactly how part one's going to end. And that's how my books go. Because sometimes I'll be 20K in, I'll figure in my head, here comes the ending. And I can't write out of order, so I'll just write down in my notes with my Scrivener app, hey, this is the good ending for part one. Giovanni comes back, blah, 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 blah. Hope gets shot in the head, blah, 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 blah. That's the cliffhanger. So I'll write notes, but I can't write the end until I actually get there.
Yep, the reason I write the ending first is because sometimes that's the first thing I'm thinking about. Because sometimes the ending, I may get stuck just a little bit because, I'm trying to figure out how good I want the ending to be. Do I want to make this into a part two, or do I just want to end it like this? Hit it with the end, that's it, boom, there you go. Just a whole novel, that's it. No part two, no series, that's it. So that's why I write my ending first, because that's what I'm not basing my story off of, but basing the rest of my book off of. Because I'm trying to figure out if I actually want to do a whole series. Because I don't like...
That makes sense. That actually makes sense, because you try to figure out where you're going. Because I think some authors, they will put the cliffhanger at the very beginning of the book, too. And it leaves so many questions, because you're like, who's this character? Why did this happen? Why did so-and-so get shot?
Yep, I do that. But when I do that, that means I already wrote my ending, and then I wrote the prologue. So now I know, boom, I know this is going to be just a solid book, or this is going to be a part 1, 2, and 3. So when I write my book, I always give a cliffhanger in the beginning. That's like, I just love doing that, because that's giving that excitement. Like, Johnny got shot. Who shot Johnny? Like, who did this? Who did this to this young boy? Or who did this to her husband? or who did this to, like, who did it? Who in the world did this and why? And then that's what the other chapters is coming off from. And then you get to almost the end or the middle, the climax, and then that's the chapter from the beginning. You're like, wow, so that's what happened. You know, or that's the ending, like, okay, now I see she was put through all this, and the beginning, it was actually the ending. That's exactly what I do.
Yeah. I actually might try it where I start with the ending. I might try a book that way. And if it's just to kind of switch things up. But see, I'm the type, I don't ever want anyone to ever guess what Thea's going to do in the book. I want people to be able to say, oh my God, Thea's book wise. Let's see what craziness she created now. Because I want to entertain, but I also want my books to kind of have a message. I want to write a book. I actually want to write an urban book, and I haven't even figured out how I want to do this yet. But I want the main character to have an eating disorder. You don't see that.
You know, as soon as you said that, my brain, like, flickered and, like, went automatically on. And I had, as soon as you said that, how did I get an idea? And it's not even that's what I mean, how my brain is so imaginary and so overactive with imagination that if, like, my mom, she gives me a lot of ideas too, so does my dad. Like, if I'm like, I need an idea, and they'd be like, why don't you be like, okay, I got an idea that quick. They'd be like, what? And I just tell them right off the top of my head what the chapter is about to be. They'd be like, wow, that's good. How did you? I was like, my mind is just always coming up with something just off of what you said.
Yeah. Do your characters wake you up out of your sleep?
Yes.
Oh my God, it's so aggravating.
This particular book, he has been on my very last nerve. Like, he has a lot to say, and this is a short story. My book is a short story, and this character has so much to say. Like, I'm trying to have the chapter be 500 words, but he talking so much, the chapter ends up being 5K. And I'm like, oh my God. Now the next chapter, I have this next.
Oh my God. He
right.
extra like Clayton. Oh my God.
Yes, the next chapter must be 500 words. Please, just let this chapter be short. You know, you already had your whole dialogue in chapter 5. Chapter 4, let it be short and be like, ooh, what's about to happen in the next chapter? No, he wants to keep doing stuff. He wants to just be there. That's the kind of character my character is. He just wants to be there. And then the other character I have, she's battling with him, so it's a back and forth. A whole back and forth. And I just decided, because the way I'm writing this mini-series, I just decided, what the hell, she's going to have her book. Since she wants to talk so much and she wants to battle with him, I'm going to have to tell her story in the next book in this mini-series. That's just how that's going to go. Because with this book, I didn't want to give so many point of views. I just wanted it to be him telling his story because it's his confessions. So I just wanted to just be him. Then that's why he has so much. He would not allow me to have anybody else had they say so but him. It wasn't happening. Nope.
Oh, he sounds this is rude as Clayton. Because I've been sitting here battling with Clayton, like, okay, first of all, you came and took over a series that wasn't your series. You were only supposed to pop up and be the connect. And then he ends up having sex in part 2 with the main female agent. I'm like, okay, Clayton, you are doing too much. Like, you're doing way too much. And in part 3, he actually like, no, Thea, I'm getting the storyline. And I'm getting the storyline now, damn it.
Right.
I'm like, you know what? And then it was crazy because people that read the Jacksons didn't like Clayton and the Jacksons. But in Co-Girls, Lord, people in my inbox, Clayton is bae. Let Clayton talk as much as he wants. I was like, oh my God, you guys are encouraging Clayton's foolery.
Right.
But as much as I complain about Clayton, I love that man. He's hilarious. The biggest thing for me is he'll wake me up out of my sleep. He will wake me up out of my sleep and be like, this. he called, like, I was right the other day, he's calling a bitch an Eskimo, and then he's in the next chapter complaining about potato salad. He's sitting there like, yo, he's like, Rolanda, give me some potato salad. Rolanda's potato salad is busting. He's like, it's unlike these other hoes' potato salad, because you go to Kroger, get the fucked up potato salad, or you get the bitches that put raisins in the potato salad. I'm like, you know what, Clayton, I am down with you for tonight, goodbye. He is that rude and shot out. He is that, and it was to the point, one of my best friends, Jessica, she's actually been challenging me to write a book with no rude characters. And I have really, what I would like to say on this podcast right now is I have really tried writing books with no rude, no shout-out characters. I have tried it. They don't end up, my characters don't do what I tell them to do.
Yep.
They have their own personality. And I've tried, the only book I think I've succeeded in not making my characters really, really rude was called Surrender to My Love, I Stand Alone. Garrett is bae, he's a male bae, but he's not over the top rude. I think that's the only book I've managed to have a character that's not really like rude funny. But all my urban stuff, I have like at least one, if not more than one, shout out rude, ridiculous kind of character. It's just how they work. Because I'll sit there, because I told her, I was like, you know what, Jess, I'm going to take your challenge. I'm going to write an urban book with no rude characters. I will start one and start, like, The Love We Have to Give. Started out fine. Tyson seemed like he could be rude, but I could still keep him bae without him being rude. Then I put in another main character named Trent, and he shut out talking about hoes taking him to child support for a kid that's not his. And I was like, oh, Lord. I was like, okay, this book ain't going to be the one Jessica's looking for. Because this fool's going to be shot out, too. So it's just, I'm still working on that one to write an urban book with no rude characters. But I also think I'm really trying to do it. But I think my readers almost expect it from me, which is another reason I'm trying to deliver that. Because my readers expect me to write shout-out characters. I want to be able to say that I can give a book that they cannot predict what's going to happen.
That.
And I think I want to do an urban book where a girl has an eating. Actually, no. I want to do an urban book where a male character has an eating disorder.
That's. Everything you're saying is amazing. Because I love an author that does that with their books, for one. For two, coming up with something different that you really don't too much see, that happens a lot. I like that as well. That's going to be new readers who are going to be like, wow, this is me, or I'm so glad you wrote this because you helped me with this, that, and the other. And I applaud authors who do that.
Yes, and I think one of my biggest goals, now that I have this platform, is I want to write to entertain, but I want to spread a message. Cold Girl spread one message. My next series, I don't know what message that's going to come from The Love We Get to Give. Especially because I think I'm barely 18 in. We're barely 8K in, so I don't know what message. I want there to be some sort of a message coming from that. Falling for a West Coast Boss series, because I just turned in part 2 this morning. I was so happy to turn. I get so happy when I turn in a book, you don't even understand. But that message, I had a character that's half black, half Asian. And she's trying, and in this series, she's trying to find her own identity and find who Jemiah is. And develop her own independence. And that's kind of the message I spread within that series. And then I briefly touch on in points in part 2, I touch on infertility. And not just miscarriage, but not being able to carry a child full term. There's certain things I touch on that in Falling for West Coast Boss too. And so there's certain things I just want to make sure that everything I put out has some kind of humanistic feel to it. That there's some kind of human. I might be writing about drug dealing and drug cartels, but there's more to the storylines than drug dealing.
Right. That's true.
The characters are going through stuff in real life, just like you and me.
Mm-hmm.
One of them might have a relative that committed suicide. One of them might have an eating disorder. One of them might know someone that's struggling with a drug addiction. And then I also have a book planned, a collab. My parents, sister, and I are talking about doing a collab next year about a book with a sex therapist. I won't go into too much detail about that because I don't want the chance the storyline getting stolen.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't wait to write that one. That one's going to be petty, and we already have the title for it.
I love it. Now, where do you see yourself in 10 years? I ask all the authors this. Where do you see yourself with your writing your books in 10 years?
In 10 years, I pray to God that one of my book series, one of my books become a movie. I mean, it would just be a dream come true to ever write something that would become a movie.
Yes. Yes, that's what I love to hear. That's exactly what I love to hear an author say. Because
I don't want to just say, but I think it was bigger than it becoming a movie. I just want to grow. As an author, I want to get each series, each book, I want to get better.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I want to get better. I want to show growth. And I want to continue supporting the tons of authors I see on my Facebook page. Because you can shine as much as I can shine, and it doesn't diminish from what I'm doing, and vice versa. I think that's the biggest message I want to get out there, especially with all the industry beats and stuff. We can support each other. There's no need to hate on the next person's shine because someone's doing better than you are.
Right. Exactly. That's exactly what I be saying. That's exactly what I be saying. Because it's enough readers and everything for us all to, gain popularity and so forth.
Right. And if I was only doing it to be popular, I mean, I write because I love to write.
Me too.
Writing is therapeutic for me. And I really had to check myself. I went through so much the first year of my writing career. There was so much. I had to learn a lot about the industry, how messy the industry is. I was in a situation where I had 10 sisters with my first company kind of turning me and my publisher against each other at the time. And thank God we cleared all that worked itself out. But I really I came into the industry very green, thinking everybody got along, everybody's friends.
Nope.
Man, honey, that is not, oh my God, no. I had to learn so much just about industry being.
Right. I made sure that I learned that way before I got published. I made sure that I knew exactly what I was getting into. I did my research. I really did. Most definitely did my research. Asked authors who got published with an urban publishing company. I just did all my research before I even got signed. And that's the best, very best way to go.
Yes, and you're in really good hands with Kiana and Nicole. I mean, I love you. I've got to throw her a shout out on here because I'm not even signed with Major T, but I'm always doing work on Twitter. She's always encouraging me as well. It's like she's my adopted boss lady as well as Jaquel is.
Mm-hmm.
Because I would post on Facebook. Some days I get so frustrated writing, I'm like, oh, I'm going to quit. I'm done. She's like, you're not done.
Yep.
He's like, you're not done. You got 50 more stories to tell, Pete. He's like, now we're doing a word count challenge. And Jaquel does not, let me throw, oh my God, I need to throw a shout out to my boss lady, Job. She will not let me quit. Oh my God. So many times I've gotten discouraged, like, oh my God. I'm not stuck as an author because my book's not selling, or this book didn't hit like I wanted it to hit, or, you know, and I would get so caught up into that, thinking that I'm terrible. She's like, no, T, you're still building your brand. She's like, the readers are going to touch. The more books, the more you write, she's like, you're going to have that one series. And I think I'm praying Cold Girls is that series. But regardless if it is or it's not, I'm going to keep writing because I got 99,000 stories to tell. And I know, I'm confident that my time is coming. And John just never let me quit.
Yep, just as Kiana, I called her many times. She knows this, and she's reading and she's listening to this. She already knows. I've come to her and said, I don't know how I feel about this book. I don't know if I want to take this book down. What should I do? She's like, calm down. Now tell me about the story. I just run off just telling her about the story. She was like, now what's the problem with the story? Everything you just told me is everything you can write. Now let's just get to the point of the problem where you can't write the story. And then I'd be like, well, it was. She was like, there you go. Is it blocking you out? Are you working on too many stories at once? Are you not focused on your story? She's like, I know how you write. You like to take your time and write because you like to have everything perfect for your story. She's like, what is it that's blocking you from this, that, and the other? And I'm like, well, maybe this or that. She's like, there you go. Now just focus on your story. Just write down your notes like you usually do. Just get in your space and write. And the moment I did that, I was like, wow. And then ended up getting the story done in the week and turned the book in. And she was like, see, it was just that you needed to talk it out. She was like, I loved everything you said about the story. You're just not believing in it like you should. I was like, I love my publisher. My publisher just helps so much. Mm-hmm.
Right, and Q and John, they're very close too, and they're amazing. They're so gold. Like, John does not she'll post like inspirational quotes or stuff, and sometimes she'll be like, T, she's like, self-care. Sometimes John will inbox me like, have you taken a rest? Me too. I had a flu. I had gotten a flu 2 weeks ago, and I'm like, oh, I need to write. I need to get Volleyball West Coast Box 2 done. Either my pen sister had told on me, I don't know how John found out I was writing with the flu, and she got on my butt so bad. She's like, put your MacBook away. I said, but John, I need to write this book. He's like, T, no, put your MacBook away. I mean, there's times where, like, y'all's like my sister. She's my publisher, and then there's times where she's got to get in me, like, T, no.
Mm-hmm.
And there's different times I need different things. She's just like, T. She's like, we already had this conversation. You're not going to be overworking yourself to death. Because she's gotten on me several times. She's like, it's okay to take time and rest. It's okay to relax and recharge your brain. Because these stories, these characters take a lot out of you. And then I'll be like, but John, I was like, I don't want readers waiting too long. She was like, girl, these readers will wait. They will be here. And you will get this book out. She's like, you write fast. It's okay.
Exactly.
And that's just how I get it. It's to the point now, my pen sister, Bree Taylor, will be like, T, I'm going to tell John on you if you don't rest. I'm like, Bree, come on. You know I got to get this book, this part 2 in. She's like, no, go to bed, T. Because I will literally write, like, all night. And lose track of time. And I can get, in one session, I can get anywhere from 5 to 10K. Sometimes 15 if it's really flowing. Because I think Cold Girls wrote so fast because I was doing, like, 15K at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And so a lot of times I have to, John has to remind me it's okay to rest. And I just feel blessed because I'm in a publishing situation where I just don't feel pressure.
Yep, me too.
It's not competition among the authors. That's why I got to shout out even just my pen sisters and my pen brothers. It's not a competition. Whether we chart one chart that hits number 4, number 1, number 15, we're all clapping for each other.
Yep.
And that's how I wish the industry itself would be. Why can't I clap for Siobhan Latrice the same way that I would clap for Shy Tevitt or my author friend Shop? You know what I mean? But there's and the energy
Right.
in the industry, and I had to learn. Not everyone is your friend in this industry.
That is so true. It's sad, but it's true. Very
It's
true.
very sad because the type of person I have a big heart, very caring. And I had to learn that my other biggest lesson, I cannot read every single person's book and every single book from every single person's catalog because I'm really, really big on support. I feel like I cannot ask for support if I don't give it. So I'll just randomly, one click, I have some of your books on my catalog. I just haven't had time to read them. I buy so much, it feels like the royalties are going to buying people's books, as well as KU. But I just have to learn it's okay to say no sometimes.
Yep. Exactly.
It's okay to say no. It's okay to read what I want to read once in a while. It's okay that I can't read every single urban author that's out there. I can still share a link. Do promo days in my readers group. I can do different things to show support. Hey, you in school for authors. There's different things that can be done where I can still be showing my support.
Right.
Because it's very, very easy to get burned out in this industry. It's very easy. And I think that's what John's trying to prevent with me. It's like, T, don't get burned out.
Mm-hmm. That's exactly how I feel. That's why I've kept so many of my stories. Just held them away. You know? Because I want to, when I'm ready to publish that story, just go right to it and be like, Q, I'm ready for this story. She was like, you're finally ready to publish this story? After you know I've been ready to read this? I'm like, yes, I'm ready to publish this story. There you go. Boom.
Yeah, John's gotten me before. And she's like, T, are you holding books? I'm like, yep. This is like, turn it in. I was like, but I don't know if I'm going to turn it in. And then I end up turning it in. And she's like, T, I'm going to get you if you're holding books. I've done that. Because sometimes you're just so attached to the characters and stuff, you're like, am I really ready to release this?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I have an entire completed series that's still sitting on my, I have a completed series sitting on my Mac. But I want to revamp it. I want to revamp it and re-release it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know when. Probably sometime next year. But I'm definitely going to get that, and I get that so John can take a look at it. But I'm definitely going to be coming with the heat in 2019. I'm trying to come even harder than I did this year.
Right. Now, we've come to our final points, and I want you to let future authors know, or new authors, what can really help them to make it in this industry, in this crazy, but loving, sometimes, urban industry. What advice can you give them?
Advice that I give authors in this industry, don't come in this industry blind. Don't come in it look naive like I did. Not everyone is your friend. You will have people that come and support you, rock with you. You will have legitimate supporters, and then you have those that are going to be like talking shit about you behind your back. It comes with the territory. Don't let it change who you are as a person. The honest advice I would say, don't get caught up in industry beef. Focus on your books and your writing. I keep myself so busy with books, I don't have time to be entertaining them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Keep yourself busy and entertained, and keep the negative. If someone is destroying your feed, I am a real trigger with the block button.
Ooh, me too.
I do not play with blocking people on Facebook. Ended up blocking a couple authors a couple months ago behind some stupid accusations. I won't go into details. I knew it wasn't true. My publisher knew it wasn't true. But I said, you know what? And the one thing, John was like, see, don't let them steal your peace. And I said, you know what, John, you're right. Next thing I did, I went and blocked them off both my Facebook pages. I blocked them from my promo page, my regular page. Haven't thought about them since. Sometimes you will have to block people that destroy your peace.
Oh, you got that right. That is the truth.
And your first book, if you're a brand new author, your first book, you cannot put so much pressure on yourself because your first book will be good. But you're going to have so much room to grow from your first book on. Like, don't put too much pressure on yourself if you just drop your first book and the reviews are, oh, this is me or whatever. You're going to continue to grow and evolve. And if this is something you want to do, you will see the growth as you continue to write. Because readers inbox me all the time. You've only really been writing full-time for a year now, T. They're like, man, so Tisha and Melody, now we've seen so much growth in you. And it amazes me, and I appreciate the feedback when I keep thinking, I've grown, but I have so much more to grow. So don't get discouraged by the industry, or even if you're new, they say the urban fiction industry is oversaturated. I'm going to quote Jartel on this one. The industry it's oversaturated, but guess what? There's still a market for everyone. There's only one you.
Yep.
There's only one Thea. There's no one that can write a book exactly the way Thea writes it. There's no one that can write a book exactly the way that Chai Soul writes a book. So there's a market for all of us. Don't let it discourage you. Keep writing and be consistent. That's the biggest thing. I think the other biggest thing, be consistent.
Got that right. Now, she has said all she can say for this podcast. I will definitely be having her back soon. You guys know, I always have authors come back on this show, and she will definitely be back when she comes out with more books. She will definitely be back to talk about those and so much more. I love you. She loves you. Good night.
Thank you.